Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about the most evil zodiac sign, and it does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Well, anyway, people, first thing I want to get at, evil could be very subjective as far as the definition of it. According to the freedictionary.com, one definition is, quote, morally bad or wrong, end quote. And then another definition they have is, quote, causing ruin, injury, or pain, harmful, end quote. So, really, this is about the zodiac sign that what I feel is most capable of nefarious behavior. A lot of people don't even think that anyone or anything is truly evil. So, anyway, that being said, let me get started. Now, the first sign I'm going to talk about is Aries. Now, Aries could be combative, they could be very aggressive and assertive. Ruled by Mars, I believe it's the most volatile of the signs and can be the most truculent. However, Aries is not the one that I would think would be inclined toward most sinister-like behavior. Aries is not about holding grudges. They don't really think about negative things for too long or how somebody may have hurt them for a long time. I mean, they have the forgive and forget philosophy. So they get angry quick, but they forgive easy. So not Aries. Well, anyway, the next sign I'm going to talk about is Taurus. Well, Taurus, as many of you may know, is ruled by Venus. Taurus has a generally docile, passive, and very tranquil type of nature and temperament. Taurus, when really provoked, they could be a very implacable adversary, and this is really when they're just reached their point of endurance. However, Taurus, because they're so dominated by peace, it would be very unlikely for this to be the sign that you would connect strongly with evil or things that are nefarious. So now the next sign I talk about is Gemini. Well, Gemini can often have a lighthearted, vivacious, and easygoing type of temperament. Gemini could go through a lot of different. Gemini could be vacillating. They can be angry one minute, but at the next minute they won't be. If they have any ill feelings towards somebody or even have any desire for any evil thoughts, they generally dissipate as quick as they came. So in just being Gemini could be very inconsistent, and that could apply toward perhaps even anything connected with anything sinister that they may be thinking of. So Gemini is not the one. Now, Cancer. Well, Cancer is generally timid and has a generally timid and passive demeanor. Cancer, though, can be moody and temperamental. However, it's not a sign that you would really equate with sinister actions or nefarious actions, and Cancer is not the one that I would go with in this particular instance. So, as far as the subject on what is the most evil zodiac sign. Well, another sign, the next sign I want to talk about is Leo. Well, Leo can be quick-tempered, but they could also be very magnanimous, generous, and they don't hold grudges. They're like Aries. They're a sign that might be provoked easy. They might be agitated quick, but they have the forgive and forget philosophy, and they don't really brood about things that long. So it's not a sign you would really equate with being the most nefarious or the most sinister sign, or the one that's capable of the most nefarious actions on average. So the next sign, well, Virgo. Well, Virgo would be very unlikely because Virgo is known to be very scrupulous, and they're really about being ethical and really about proper behavior. This is generally a sign that is very helpful, and they could be very service oriented, and they're not ones out of all the signs they might least be likely to engage in any kind of sinister, criminal, or nefarious like actions. So definitely I don't see it as Virgo. Now the next sign, Libra. Well, Libra, like Taurus, is strongly about peace and tranquility. Libra is ruled by Venus. You don't really associate Libra really with anything where they're going to be involved strongly in as far as criminal activity. I understand that all signs could have some propensity toward this, but I think Libra would be one of the ones that would have the least propensity toward this. So it's not a sign that you really equate with this. So anyway, the next sign I'm going to talk about is Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius could be very jocular, jovial, and be very good humored. They're really like the perpetual optimist of the zodiac. They're a sign really that tries to see the glass half full. They're not ones to really brood or hold grudges. They're not really vindictive. Sagittarius kind of can be very lighthearted about things and moves on if somebody does them wrong, or they're not going to stay angry generally at somebody for that long period of time. So this is not a sign I would connect with being the most evil of all the zodiac signs on average. Now, Capricorn. Capricorn can often be dominated by career and business endeavors. They're about taking care of their own needs. And Capricorn can be very ambitious, but can also be very disciplined at the same time. So they're not really thinking about doing things, at least really not very. This is a sign you wouldn't really equate with doing, would be strongly connected with nefarious-like behavior. And Capricorn could also be very responsible and about following the rules. So it's not really one that you would really think would be connected with being the sign that would be considered the most evil of the 12 zodiac signs. So now the next sign, Aquarius. Well, Aquarius is the sign of the water bearer. They could be very humanitarian, and they could be very selfless and very benign in their manner. Now, it's not one that you would consider consistently being involved, or not really consistently, but a sign that would really emphasize anything connected with anything diabolical or anything sinister. So that's one. Capricorn is definitely, Aquarius is definitely out of the equation. Now, Pisces is very well-meaning, often very compassionate. They're very idealistic, and they try to see the best in everyone and everything. Now, this is not one that you would really equate with being the most sinister, or the sign that would have the greatest propensity toward most sinister acts. Pisces can be very charitable and very self-sacrificing, and it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of Pisces people were working as, like, say, psychic detectives, for example, because they have that urge to help others, and sometimes through mediumistic or intuitive ability. So anyway, well, the sign that I believe is the one that is the most, I guess you could say, the most evil, or the one that really has the greatest propensity toward iniquitous actions anyway, is Scorpio. Now, Scorpio, keep in mind, it's ruled by Pluto. Pluto is associated with the underworld, and it's things that are nefarious and corrupt. Now, some infamous Scorpio people include cult leader Charles Manson and the son of Sam serial killer David Berkowitz. Charles Manson has the sun in Scorpio, and David Berkowitz has Scorpio rising. Now, some feel that Charles Manson may very well have been the personification of evil. Scorpio is probably the best and most proficient at the art of manipulation, and they can very well be the most dangerous adversary, I believe. And it's also, I believe, almost unequivocally the most vindictive and most vengeful of the 12 zodiac signs. I say hath no fury like a Scorpio scorn. And when betrayed, Scorpio can often unleash a very mighty and powerful response. And Pluto also, I think when you look at Pluto, it also governs terrorism. Pluto rules Scorpio. Interestingly enough, mass murderer Omar Mateen had the sun in Scorpio. And Scorpio is arguably the most jealous sign of the zodiac. And I think when you look at Scorpio, what happens in many instances, that jealousy kind of makes them go to a very strong level in terms of their reaction sometimes to because of being jealous of something. So really, also Scorpio is also the most extreme of the sign. If something for Scorpio, it's really you could say if Scorpio is to do something as far as going to do something, anything connected with evil or just some kind of negative behavior, they might take it to a little more of an extreme than the average person. And this is what really can make the sign, I believe, that the most, when I say the most evil, at least the sign that is capable of most of iniquitous behavior on average. And that being said, keep in mind, this is no knock on Scorpio because uh, most people we know are not evil or malevolent. Most, regardless of their zodiac signs, and most Scorpios aren't as well. I just think, at least marginally, Scorpio is the sign that is most capable of evil behavior on average. They have a greater propensity or potential toward this based on the reasons I was giving. And the thing about this too is that when you look at Scorpio, it is ruled by Pluto and Mars. And Pluto can be destructive, and Mars is about acrimony and anger. So when you have those two mix, the combination, you have this destructive anger. And really, that's what that's what I think can make Scorpio really be at the top in terms of inclining toward evil, most evil behavior on average. And at the same time, this is, like I said, it's not a knock on Scorpio. And this is just about, out of the 12 signs on average, which one would incline toward the most sinister, nefarious behavior. And I do see this as being the zodiac sign Scorpio. Well, anyway, and also what I want to say before I head out is that, as I stated before, the evil is very subjective. And a lot of people think that nobody is truly evil, and I do respect that opinion. And like I said, most people are not evil, and most Scorpios are not Sun, Moon, and Ascendant as well. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment on the most evil zodiac sign. And stay tuned next time, where I will be continuing my transit series. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.